One, it was actually two questions by a person named Josh Fogel. He's asking, and this was per earlier in what you were talking about, how about interpreting the Eruvin Daf 96b that quote-unquote Lashonis is referring to cloaks made not Lishma and owned by Jews. So I could argue that this is only a Jewish dye. This Lishma point is that tzitzis has to be made l'shem mitzvah, while cloaks clearly do not need to be made Lishma, since there is no mitzvah involved.
That's certainly likely. As a matter of fact, the Gemara was written in a Jewish setting, so my expectation would be that one would assume that it's Jewish. Why not? However, in spite of that, it still demonstrates that it wasn't used uniquely for the mitzvah. If there was another blue dye that was uniquely used for the mitzvah and this perfura dye which looked identical, then the Gemara has another step that it would have to identify. There's the question of potentially finding non-Techeiles blue dye, which is identical to Kal Ilan, Techeiles Shalai Lishma dye, which is also identical to Kal Ilan, indigo, or Techeiles itself, which means that the Gemara is missing an integral step. Secondly, even putting that aside, the second we established that it wasn't something that was uniquely used for Jews and for Jewish ritual purposes, there's no reason why it shouldn't have been widely known to non-Jews at the time. In which case, we should find mention in this other blue dye in the non-Jewish sources, contemporary non-Jewish sources, considering the fact that they mention many other dyes, including dyes that were made here in Eretz Yisrael, which leaves the question, again, the glaring question, how could it be that there are two dyes? Why don't we find this? If there was a unique Jewish dye, which is used only for ritual purposes, I could perhaps explain that away, that the Goyim didn't know about it, and it was something uniquely used in the Beis HaMikdash, perhaps, or for a select few Yidden who wore tzitzis, perhaps. The second we established that Jews are using it for cloaks too, there's no reason non-Jews shouldn't know about it.
Okay.
Is that understood? Okay. Any other questions?